Hello, welcome to my new and improved Ask Aaron studio. Actually, I just moved some stuff around in my office, but you get a little view of the outdoors and you still get art. I can hear your applause. We are going to Ask Aaron's this week. We skipped last week, so as always, these are my answers, not the church's, but I think and hope they would agree. And we also want you to continue the conversation in the comments section below, so please feel free to do that, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. These questions are going to be on a message I gave a few weeks ago about your behavior and how it reflects what you truly believe. What you do demonstrates what it is that you believe in your heart. So we're going to jump in. We got 3 questions to get to, and then we'll have another Ask Aaron on Friday about this past week's message. Okay, first one. Should I judge a person on a single action, or should it be more of a long-term judgment? Now, I'm going to give my favorite answer. Yes. Yes. There are certain things that you are capable or allowed to judge people on a one-term thing, right? Like murder. Yep, that person murdered someone. The judgment is to that specific event. Adultery. That's a specific event. Yes, you can and are allowed to judge people on those specific things. But as is the case in every area of life, judging someone is very, very dangerous because you're not aware of the entire story, right? Only God knows someone's heart. Only God knows the entirety of a person's story. And so Scripture is pretty clear for us as Christians. We are allowed to judge people by the fruit of their actions. So, murder ends a life. Adultery potentially has the power to end a marriage. So when we are talking about these things, we view them through the lens of the fruit that they produce, and we make positive or negative judgments, right? This is a negative fruit. It's a negative behavior. We judged the action and, in many cases, the person based on that fruit. However, there are numerous references in Scripture about us forgiving other people, about God forgiving us the way we have forgiven others, right? I was raised Baptist, so forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Forgive the debts that we have committed based on the way that we forgive other people. So I think the same can be true about judging people, in that when you want someone who is judging you to think about the totality and the entirety of your life, about everything that you do, about the reasons behind what you do, about the reasons you are the way that you are. As that situation plays out, you hope that they take those things into consideration. There are many times that I, as a person, and I'm sure you as a person, have said to myself or yourself, man, I hope they don't judge me based on that one interaction or that one thing, because I'm so much more than that. There's so much more to me. There's so much more to that situation. So when those situations play out, we realize that we should be giving people the benefit of a long-term relationship, a long-term judgment. Really, the only reason we should be judging someone is if they claim to be a person of faith, they claim to be a Christian, like, perhaps you and I are, and we want to hold them accountable for how their actions speak about their relationship with God, the kingdom of heaven, all of these different things, right? We want to be able to say, when you do A, B, or C, it reflects poorly on the kingdom. It makes Christians look bad. It makes you look bad. It gives non-Christians the wrong idea. Those are the situations in which we are called to judge other people by the fruit of their actions. But people who aren't Christian, people who don't espouse the same beliefs that we have, we really have no reason to judge them at all, other than to say, man, I want to steer clear of those behaviors because the fruit of those behaviors is leading to a life that I don't want to live, that I don't have to live because I have Jesus, and I want my belief in Jesus to inform my actions and to be revealed in the behaviors that I do. Okay? I think I've said everything I want to say about that. Do I prefer that we remember specifics from a sermon or the concepts presented? So do I hope that you remember a specific thing that I wrote in my sermon, or do I hope that you understand the concept? Almost 100%, I hope that you remember the concept. I hope that you remember the general idea of what I said and why I said it. I come up with a sort of a 1 or 2 point thing, and I make it sound kind of cool or rhyme or something, because I hope that you remember the general idea of what I said. For instance, your behaviors reveal your beliefs. I hope that overarching point is what you remember. I hope that this past week I said God is more concerned with your holiness than he is with your happiness. I hope you remember that. And if you can bring to mind specific things that I said during the sermon, great. If not, you can go looking for those things. But overall, I hope that as you're going through your week, that idea, that main point or couple points that I bring up during a sermon is what you remember. I phrase them certain ways on purpose. I try to make them relatable and understandable on purpose. It is most important to me that you remember the main overarching point of a sermon than you do, a specific verse that I quoted or a story that I told. I hope it all works together and that the messages are applicable to you. But in the case that you're forgetting the majority of them, the main point is what I hope you get. Last question, similar to the one right before it. My kids don't remember what was preached in church less than 12 hours after I left church. Should I be concerned? Well, should you be concerned? It depends on why they don't remember. Like if you're afraid they have short-term memory loss and they're not going to be able to function as a normal human being someday, then yeah, you should be concerned. But if you're just concerned that they were in church, you were talking for 40 minutes, and my kids don't remember what it was that you talked about, no, you probably shouldn't be that concerned, and let me tell you why. I preach messages that are geared for people about my age, right? They say that when you're speaking in public, you should speak to the mean or the middle of your audience. And we have people who are 70, 75 who come to our church, and we have people who are, in their teenage years who are sitting in our audience. And so I'm really speaking to everyone, but if I can hit somebody who's in their late 30s to mid 40s, then I feel like both sides are probably getting something out of it, right? I'm also speaking to very immature Christians and people who have been Christians and growing in their faith for 40, 50, 60 years. So again, I'm aiming for people who are somewhere in the middle of their spiritual maturity and that they can get something out of it. And so there's a chance that your kid isn't picking up on some of the concepts, isn't intrigued by some of the stories, right? If I talk about being a parent, your kid is so far removed from that whole scenario that they probably just check out. That's not a bad thing. We're exposing them little by little to what it means to be a part of a church and to attend a church service. And hopefully, as they grow and they mature, they start to pay attention more. They start to gain more and more from being out of it. But maybe for your kid, just being there and singing along and worshiping is a big thing. They're seeing other people and how they interact during the church service and how they listen and how they worship. All of it is important. Maybe your student is taking communion for the first time, and that's a big deal. There are so many other things than just listening to me talk. Do I hope they get something out of it? Yes, absolutely. But I also hope that they're coming to our youth group from 4:30 to 8:30 on Wednesday nights. Dinner at 6, program at 7, done by 8:30. Small groups for age appropriate, gender appropriate. See, I'm plugging now. Yeah, we have a youth pastor. We have a group of people their age. We get together. We give specific messages to them. So I hope that we are not only training them how to be a part of the larger church community, because they are part of the church, but I hope that we are giving them and gearing our youth group towards their age and stuff that they deal with and they struggle with, and we're telling stories and stuff in that group that speaks directly to them. So am I super worried if they come to a sermon on a Sunday morning and they don't get much out of it? No. Do I hope that they get something out of it? Yes, absolutely. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it probable? I don't know. Is it a big deal if they don't? Probably not. And you also have to cut them a little slack, right? Like they're 12 to 18 years old. Their minds are spinning. Their hormones are flaring. Maybe the cute girl across church gave them a wink or a nod. It's just there's so much going on in their minds. I hope they get something out of it. If they don't, it's not the end of the world. But maybe having a conversation with your kids and just asking them to try and saying, every week, I'm going to ask you the one thing you got out of Aaron's sermon this week. I'm going to ask you one thing you noticed in church that you had never heard of or noticed before. That conversation could lead to places that even you're not prepared for as a parent. And so I would encourage you to do that. Maybe you've heard, I've had a snoring pug in here for the majority of my time. I didn't kick him out. He was resting peacefully. He started snoring. So if that's in the background, I hope it brings you some joy. We're going to have another Ask Aaron, like I said, coming up this Friday. So look for that. As always, continue the conversation. We will talk to you then. Thanks for asking Aaron.